Hey, Carisha Boo.
Hey, Crystal.
Anyways, so we like to get into some girl talk or whatever. So this is our first time doing a podcast, and we want to, we talk about a lot of current events just with each other. This is my best friend since
Ooh,
2000.
don't tell our age.
Don't tell. I won't tell our age. It will just tell like how long we've been friends. 2007.
That's been a long time. I had just moved to Texas from Indiana.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was just turned 21 years
Look,
old.
now you telling your age.
Okay, yes I am, but still, it just feels like it was just yesterday, but it was so long ago.
I know. But we've been rocking and hanging with each other ever since, getting into anyway. But yes.
So we are creating a podcast, and because we talk about things every day with our kids, about our kids, and our topic today is going to be about education. And because we constantly talk about education, because my friend is a school teacher, I'm a mother. I'm a heavily involved mother that likes to be up at the school with everything. I am a helicopter. Not exactly a helicopter parent, but kind of like a helicopter parent.
Right. I mean, I can't say, I can't talk. So I know, but I have gotten better because, now my kids, see, she's just now getting into the education field a few years. Her son is
9.
I was going to say 10 because he turns 10 this year. So, her son is 9, and so my kids are teenagers. Well, yeah, teenagers, because my youngest one is 16 now. And, yeah. I mean, but I got a bonus kid. He was 10. He'll be 10 or whatever. But, yeah, 16 years old is our youngest one. So, that's in the house. So, yeah, that whole
shabacle and everything.
Yeah.
So today our podcast is going to be about education in the school system and these badass motherfucking kids in the school system and how they truly need their ass beat. Because something must be going on. And with her being a school teacher, me being a mama, it disrupts my son from learning. So,
yeah.
I can't whoop kids no more.
Listen,
why y'all can't whoop these kids no more?
Oh my goodness, that is the issue. That is the problem. Like, we have so many issues in school just with discipline problems, period. And I don't know if it stems from like the young parenting and them, not.
You can't say young parenting because our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, they were 14, 15, 16 having kids. So, no, you can't say that. And then, before our parent generation, they were young parents having kids too. So that's not no excuse.
I know, but but listen, so that when, like, back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. How our grandparents brought us up. And they brought us up, like, with strict rules. Like, you get butt whoopings, you're going to get disciplined, and you're going to follow. You're going to respect every adult. Well, now you're getting, like, these younger parents who are not brought up like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get you. I just remember getting whoopings in the classroom in front of everybody if I did something wrong. So they need to bring that back.
And it's not like that anymore. Girl, it's like the experience that we're experiencing and stuff like that, it's kind of like, oh my goodness, you said this to my child. No, my child has the right to cuss in your class, or I let them cuss at home, or you get stuff like,
you let them cuss at home?
Listen, and I'm just like, okay, that is the issue. Well, that's not okay at school, and you have to talk to them like that. Well, ma'am, I understand that that's okay in your household. However, at school, our standards are that we respect our adults, we respect all teachers, we even respect our peers, and cussing is not allowed in my classroom, ma'am.
So you telling me that they cuss with their mom and them at home?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a different age. I'm almost 40. So I'm just going to tell my age. Yeah. So to be almost 40 and have a kid in elementary school, I was raised with my mama who, I got whoopings. I got whoopings for doing what I wasn't supposed to do. I don't know about the rest of these kids, but they need some whoopings.
Exactly. Like, you'll be surprised about the type of phone calls that are made and, like, the things that you just hear people say. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, okay, I just want to, collaborate with you in regards to how we're going to, help your child correct their behavior and not have so many behaviors in my classroom. Well, they don't do it at home, so I don't know what to say again.
So they lack a discipline at home.
Listen.
So you rather have fun with your kids than to discipline your kids so they can be a better human being in life.
And what we come to see is they come through the door. Hey, sweetie, here you go. When they go to bed, they'll take it up at night. Wake up in the morning, they're going to school. Come back home, here you go. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So there's no communication. And I'm not saying that's everybody. But I'm saying that's a lot of what's going on today because it's, it's all about, okay, pushing them so I can have my me time, so I can have this time. And everybody deserves their me time, but you have to find a good balance in between. You have to find a
happy balance.
Yes. Spending time with your kids and getting your me time.
And I'm going to be honest with you, as a single parent, that's hard. Mm-hmm. It's an impossible task when you're the only one that's doing it too. So for a lot of these kids, probably too, I can say, as being a parent, being a single mother and I'm working, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing everything. When do I have the opportunity to have that me time? So I think sometimes we have our days as parents, because I'm guilty of this. Right. I will shove that phone. Here you go, David. Here you go. Just leave me alone for right now because I do need that me time before I lose my mind.
Right.
So I think a lot of parents, and I can't just say it's just single parents, it's probably just parents, period. Mm-hmm. But cost of living is so high.
It is.
So the government is okay with that. Mm-hmm. So which means I'm not making enough. So most parents now too are probably now working 2 jobs after COVID. So now I'm working 2 jobs. I had no other choice but to find, push something on them because I'm not at home.
But let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Do you not make time for your child?
I do. Exactly. I have to make time for him.
And I know this.
I know you.
That's why I was like, at the end of the day, you make time for him. At the end of the day, you ask him how was his day when he walked through that door, and mm-hmm. have those conversations with him. So it's not an immediate, okay, you go away, and that's all you see from me. Sometimes that's all the kids see. They don't get the attention. So now they're at school, and guess what they want?
The attention.
The attention.
But see, me and David have conversations too. So it's David, what do you need more from me?
Right.
So he's told me before. That's what made me start realizing that I'm into my phone, not even necessarily him into his phone, right. That I'm into my phone too much too because he's like, Ma, whenever I'm home, you be on the phone either talking to somebody or you on the phone watching TikTok. Oh, wow. And I have to admit, when he tell me that, I'm like, okay, well, let me put this down, son. So we can have the conversations that we need to have as your mother and to son. So I can need to know how you feeling, mm-hmm. what's going on. I want to try to make sure that I can't prevent adult trauma, but at least I'm not the cause of your adult trauma.
Right.
So I try to have better conversations with him to see what his thinking is.
So how did you feel when he said that to you?
I was hurt, but of course I was hurt a little bit. I'm like, really? I'm like, man, I don't have no time to myself ever.
Right.
I'm like, ever. So if I'm talking to somebody, I'm working mm-hmm. all the time. And the job I have, I'm working almost 12 hours a day sometimes.
Right.
So when I do have a breather, and now because of COVID, I work from home. But it was even before COVID. Mm-hmm. I'm getting off of work. I work 2 jobs, and my second job was doing Uber Eats.
Right.
So I'm picking him up from the daycare, and he's doing Uber Eats with me. By the time we get home, mm-hmm. well, it's time to go to bed, and I'm tired.
Right. And
even on the weekend, and when COVID happened, it's more time for us to be together. Mm-hmm. And then it went from me having a little opportunity to now they busting out behind, and I'm working 12-hour days.
Right.
And I'm still leaving to go pick you up from school and trying to cook dinner and trying to do this. Mm-hmm. And now when I get off, I want to have some time where I can just breathe, or it might be a conversation with somebody.
Right.
So it was me having to sacrifice my money, mm-hmm. which means I'm not working as many hours.
Right.
But that gives them the opportunity to have more time too, so we can have those conversations before I have a conversation with somebody else.
Right. Right. But see, you found a happy balance, right?
Kind of.
Right. I mean, it kind of cut your money off, but I think you found what was more important.
It was. Right. And then within that, I'm still trying to find the balance within myself too. So.
Right.
But it's helping him to be better in school, mm-hmm. because with having that happy balance, I know David, when he get mad, he will yell at somebody.
Right. But
that's my reaction too. So it's a reflection of myself. Mm-hmm. So I had to reflect off of myself to realize, okay, you need to calm down too.
Right.
So us doing that, yelling school no more. He's more responsive. Yeah. So some things you have to check within yourself too as a parent to make sure that your kid is not a mirror to you.
Mm-hmm. See, I need more parents like that.
But see, that's the thing. It took me to want to better myself as a mother. So I would pray to God and be like, hey, can you help make me a better mother?
Right.
And in order to make me a better mother, he had to put a mirror in front of my face, and my child is my mirror.
Right.
So it made me realize, okay, you're gonna have to stop doing this or stop doing that, cut out this and cut out that. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's just simply rearranging how you approach things. Mm-hmm. Because you can fuss at one kid and don't bother him, and fuss at another one and it will, traumatize them.
Right.
So I'm learning to learn his love language in order to love him the way he needs to be loved. So when he go into the world and go to school, it's a reflection of him. It's nothing but love because he's getting that.
And see, that's the one thing about education. You got to learn how to teach each individual kid. Not saying, okay, I got to go to each individual kid and teach them, but I got to understand that, okay, this child needs this from me, or this child needs this from me. I was just talking about this because, see, talking about this with my students, and we do journals, right? Journal Fridays. And so the journal was, do you feel, in one of the questions, and I'm trying to remember how it goes because I don't exactly know how it goes, but the journal question was, do you feel like being treated fairly is the same as, what was the question? It's the same as being treated equally. Do you feel like you should be treated, but basically, you know what the question, like, it's like, do you feel like being treated fairly, like me being fair, a teacher being fair to the students, is being treated equally? Some students got what I was trying to say,
but being fair don't necessarily mean it's equal.
That part. And some students,
because what's fair to me may not be fair to you, but equal math with equations always gonna add up right.
Right.
But just because I might feel like, shit, I should have whatever I want, that's fair to me.
Right.
But you, on the other hand, no, let's give. That's what's fair to me, and I don't agree with that.
Right.
But we can equally say we feel the same way about how we feel.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what and it was like a lot of my students understood. They was like, no, because the way you have to, like, if they understood that if this kid gets in trouble a lot, then they need those positive affirmations as well to follow that. But I don't need so many positive affirmations because that's all I get.
Yeah.
So you can't treat him the way you treat me, or treat me the way you treat that person, because, and I was like, y'all understand it, like, you understand it. And some of the kids was like, yeah, I wish we be fair about us having found
that was a good one. I thought that was a good one. That was a good one.
And I was like, no.
But see, a lot of us parents too have to take accountability because my son is on a, what is it called, an IEP? Mm-hmm. So he's on an IEP program because he has dysgraphy and he has ADHD. You have to take accountability that your child needs help.
Right.
You cannot fight the school system. And I get it, because I know as African Americans, as blacks, or whatever you are, when you're a person of color, especially of dark color, especially Hispanics, because if you're coming from Mexico or you're coming from anywhere that does not speak the native language of English, they treat you as if you're stupid. And you still have to listen to them, but you still have to make sure that they're not just labeling your child just because they can label your child. You have to be an active parent to know my child needs help with this. Right. Like for me, I noticed my son handwriting. I noticed that he was constantly writing backwards. Mm. And this brilliant mind of his wasn't catching up with his hands. So I started asking for him to be tested. I would talk to my friend Crystal. I would talk to another friend whose children was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. And she was like, well, I'm like, that's two people telling me that, like, you are already thinking in the right direction. So I went for it. That's the only thing that's stopping my child from being in the Gifted and Talented program is his handwriting. Right. And that's how smart he is. But the fact that he has ADHD, he thinks differently, which doesn't mean he's stupid. That means he's brilliant.
Right.
So you have to take accountability that your child might need additional help. And that's okay.
Yes.
Don't get mad at the school. Like, my child don't need help. All I got to do is tutor them. If that was the case, you would have been had them tutored. I'm pretty sure a lot of you parents notice that something is going on with your kid, and you know that your kid is not as smart as what you want to give them credit for. And it's not saying that they're not stupid. It's just saying that this portion right here is a struggle for them. Give them that little bit of help and watch them thrive.
Right. Exactly. And that's a thing with, like, classroom development, classroom, education. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, like sometimes parents be like, oh, okay, you didn't communicate with me, ma'am. I actually did. I actually called you. I have it documented. I actually sent you an email. I have that documented. But it's just like, as teachers are expected to do a lot. And for me, I have 40 some kids. The most I have is 53 kids in one class. So
that's not made for me.
And that's one class. So my thing is, what do you expect me to do if every student in my class is struggling? You want me to like reach out? Like I try to tell her, my kids' grades are posted. I post grades on a weekly basis. So please go in and go see your kids' grades and stuff like that. But if they're struggling and I'm trying to reach out to you and you don't call me back or you don't email me back, then how am I supposed to help your kid if you're not willing to help your kid?
You can't.
Exactly.
But first of all, how the school system think you're able to teach that many kids?
Well, you know, my situation is different because I'm in a PE class.
Right.
So,
but you wasn't always just in the PE class.
I know.
Yeah,
but when I wasn't, then it was like 20. The most I ever had was like 20, 21. And that's still a lot in the class.
See, that's the thing. Okay, so that's another thing. Like, okay, so we're going to take accountability as parents, but I want the education system to take accountability that they are purposely overcrowding the schools. They are purposely trying to do that slavery mentality where we are all created equally, and they're trying to give these kids a right to fight for something that they don't have. They don't even know what they're fighting for.
Right.
A lot of these kids just want to talk. They don't even understand the struggle.
Right.
So why are you overcrowding the kids and they're not truly learning? So are you creating a prison system for us? Are you creating, us to work 9 to 5?
Right.
Or are you truly teaching these kids how to be self-sufficient to make it on their own?
See, and that's the hard part. So here's the thing with me. I'm just like, and let me tell you, I do a lot of talks with my students, especially when I'm seeing a lot of behavioral issues inside of the school itself, not just inside of my classrooms, because I feel like I'm a teacher who maintains a good atmosphere in my classroom and try to maintain, just a positive space for my kids and make sure that they can be able to learn. However, like you said, there are some behavior issues. I'm not perfect. There are going to be kids who's going to act out regardless of any situation. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, it's just like, yes, when you have these behavior issues, it's not, okay, let me ignore it. You're going to have to address it. Do I address it now or do I address it after I get my kids started with their activities? And me, I try to do it after. Like, I'll be like, okay, you need to go have a timeout for yourself. I'll finish that activity, but then now I have to address this. You get what I'm saying? And when you have that many kids in one setting by yourself, it's kind of hard. Like sometimes I work my power zones. And I try to make sure I was like, okay, that's not what we're supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be doing. As they're doing activities, as I'm in the middle of doing the activities with them, and I still have to walk by that kid, give that kid reminders. And if it becomes to a point where it's consistent, now I got to make sure, okay, you go take a time out. I'll get finished with this. Once they get active with their activity, now I'm coming to talk to you. But you have to be able to do that and differentiate some of the things that you do in your classroom in order to reach each child. However, I had a conversation with my kids and I was like, okay, let's have a conversation because it's time for conversation time. And they know that if we have to have a conversation, it's because things are getting bad. And so I'm just like, okay, I started breaking it down for them. I was like, okay, we talked about being respectful to everybody, not just adults, not just teachers, students, everybody. And so as we're talking, I'm just like, I was like, what is respect for you? How do you want respect to look from me as an adult or from your peers? Well, I feel like, and so the students, they were talking or whatever, they were engaged. And one of the students was like, I feel like in order to receive respect from me, you're going to have to give it. I said, okay, is that supposed to work both ways? And so he was like, yeah, I guess. I said, okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so what are the rules of my classroom? And he told me. I was like, okay, so you know the rules of my classroom. So the moment you disrespect my rules by not following them or breaking the rules by doing things that you know that you shouldn't be doing, is that then respectful?
Hell no.
And he was like, no. I said, okay, so you just disrespected me by not following my rules. So how am I supposed to treat you? Light bulb went off in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But see, they're not even teaching respect in the household no more. Because I'm telling you, it's some kids I done seen at Davis School, and
that's why
I'm not all the way one with the Lord. So sometimes I be forgetting. I'm like, if you don't get your little ass, and I'm like, oh, that's not my kid. So I had to remind myself. But some of these kids are really, really, really disrespectful. And if you say something, the parents be ready to pop off. I remember when I was growing up, if my mama friend see me doing something I wasn't supposed to do, she saying something to me. She didn't call my mama already, probably, and by the time I get home, I'm about to get in trouble.
But see, that's the thing. It takes a village, and people don't understand. It's like this new age of kids and adults don't understand that it takes a village. Is it everyone? No, it's not everyone. But it's a lot.
But it's the bulk of people now. It's to the point where you can't trust nobody no more with your kid because you don't know what they're gonna do.
Okay.
You can't. It's scary out there. You want your kid to be some type of safe, so you think, okay, maybe if I secure the perimeter, but you don't want to be that helicopter parent. You don't want to be, to the point where when they become a certain age, they start rebelling because you done shielded them so much.
Yes.
So it's like, where is the happy balance? Because this world is so fucking wicked.
Yeah.
So you can't trust nobody no more.
Right.
So
it's hard.
It's hard. Like, I'm still old school. If I see somebody kid acting up and I got your mama number, I text them real quick. I'm telling your mama.
Man.
And then I put them on speaker so you can start crying.
And see, that's the way I have to do. Like now, if I have behavior issues in my class, we're going to go call. We're going to go call your mother. I'm not going to call because the moment if I don't have a child in there with me calling their parent, when they get home, they will lie to their parents, and guess who their parent going to believe? Them. And it's so sad. I'm just like, lady, I'm a grown woman. Do you seriously think that I have anything to lie about?
But some teachers do be lying. That's the problem.
Then that's integrity. That's an integrity flaw.
I know, but see, that's the thing. You have, as a parent, you have to know your child.
Right.
So you have to know what your child is capable of and what your child is not capable of.
Right.
My child talks a lot. He's the sweetest little kid in the world, but he won't shut up. And he will tell them, it's hard for me to stop talking. So I know when they're telling me and they call me like, David is being disrupted by talking in class, I believe them. Because guess what? He won't shut up at home. Everything David is a copy. Everything he does at home, I know if he's doing it at home, he's doing it in school.
Right.
So I know if I'm not nipping in the bud at home, then it's gonna be harder for them to nip it in the bud at school.
Right.
But if they telling me David is going around hitting on people or doing X, Y, Z, I don't believe that because that's not his character.
Right.
So I know my child character. Now I also tell him if somebody talking smack, mom said it's okay to walk up to him, pop in the mouth too.
So then you can't say, like, if you're telling him that behavior is okay, then you can't technically say, he didn't do it.
It depends because that's the thing. I reward David for telling the truth,
right? And
I know when he's lying. I know my child when he's lying. So if I ask him a question, so David, you just popped the kid in the mouth for no reason. He has this look he does when he lies. I'm like, okay, you know you're getting a whooping, right?
Right.
Or if David tells on himself too, so he coming to Mom, I popped the kid in the mouth. He did X, Y, Z to me. I tried to tell him to leave me alone because if you don't stop, I'm gonna hit you in your mouth. And they kept going, so I went up to them and popped them in the mouth.
You can't do that because here's what
I gotta show them better than you can tell them. They're not gonna stop picking on him until he shut them down.
But who does that get in trouble at school?
But I bet you they won't mess with his ass no more. That's the thing. They also have to let kids resolve things too. Yeah. So a lot of these issues with the bullies and stuff is because they're actually technically rewarding the bully, and then they messing with the kid who was being picked on, and he decided to stand up for himself.
But here's the thing: it's not even like conflict resolution in school. I try to teach my kids that. Like I'm just real big on teaching kids every aspect of life because I understand that. Shoot, I get that at home. You know what I'm saying? So I teach my kids conflict resolution in between that activity time. Okay, now you has been having issues, and we're not going to continue to have that. We're not going to have that in my classroom. So let's learn how to resolve some issues through talking and through understanding. Now I have these two students here, and I've done that here recently, and now we're talking. Okay, if you could you not talk while she talks? And then when she gets done talking, you can have a rebuttal, and then I'll let you talk and do this.
So you mediate.
Yes. So, and that's the conversation they had, just to find out, we're going off of he say, she say, listen, okay? And we have no issues with each other, so why are we butting heads?
So what happens because these elementary kids are little bullies. What happens when you have that mediation and it still don't work? Because I'm telling you, I told David one time this little boy wouldn't stop messing with him. He told the teacher, they all of that. I'm sitting down, Mom don't say nothing to him, Mom don't do this. I said, next time he say something, I sure did. I said, pop him in the motherfucking mouth.
Right.
I said, you tell him I told him you did. I said, it's okay.
But
the little boy ain't mess with him no more. Yeah. I said, and I warned, I said, you're gonna get in trouble at school. I said, they're gonna call me like I'm a kid this time.
Right.
I said, any other time, if I didn't tell you, that's a difference. Mm-hmm. I said, but if I tell you, you ain't gonna get in trouble.
But see, here's the difference. As a parent, I understand it. Because I don't want nobody picking with my kid.
Right.
And I'm a ride or die. And I'm, look, we're going to battle. Oh, they messing with you? All right, they got it. I got it. However, as a teacher, I'm just like, that's going to get them in trouble. No, let's try to think of some other ways. And with me, I'm just like, okay, here's the thing. You separate, you leave him alone. If I see you over there in his space, you're getting in trouble. Now it's a situation to where you know your boundaries. You cross those boundaries, now you're getting in trouble. Period. You know what I'm saying? So as a teacher, then you
Cool J said, Baba said,
Mama said, not you. Yeah. No,
I get it. What you're saying, but it gets to a point where you still got to teach them how to stand up for this, and it's gonna get to a point where sometime you can't Martin Luther King yourself out of a situation. You're gonna have to Malcolm X and add a little violence to it.
However, you got to know right place, right time.
Right now. Where you said it is where you get it.
No. Like right place, right time. Like sometimes school ain't always what it needs to happen. As an educator, I'm just letting you know.
But school is where it started. So this is where he gonna finish it.
I know. I'll just see, But like just as far as, however, in a classroom, when you have those behavioral issues, yes, it is hard to teach a classroom that has a lot of behavior issues. It is hard to get across to the kids that want to learn. See, here's the thing. Now there's such a distraction to where you can't even teach the kids that do want to learn. And so now what I'm seeing is, and this is just, in the setting that I've seen. Now, like I said, I try to maintain a good atmosphere inside my classroom. And I feel like that my class is well maintained. However, I have seen teachers who have actually the problem child in their classroom. Can we go to the bathroom? And all I see is those kids roaming the hallway now. Like every class. And I'm just like, that can't happen. Like you can't allow kids to just roam the hallway just so you can teach. Just so they won't be a disturbance in your classroom.
Yeah, what else they gonna do?
Because their parents won't step in or won't help out. But then that becomes a situation to where now when you ask, are you teaching our kids prison life or working 9 to 5? That child is being taught nothing. That child is being taught, okay, if you act up well enough, they'll let you out the classroom and you ain't got to worry about being educated. But I'm still going to pass you along so you won't be here.
But how many kids are there? How many kids though?
It's quite a bit. And that's what I don't get. Like, how are they being able to roam these halls like this?
So do they not have like one of those alternative schools anymore?
They do. But the one that our schools don't do is full. Oh, wow. So now those simple behavior issues, now we're having to deal with them in-house just because, yes, they have done so much or been to ISS so much to the point where, yeah, they're supposed to be put out into the alternative school, but can't be because it's overfull.
I'm trying to figure out these parents for 2 years. These kids for 2 years have been at home with their parents, seeing how they learn. Mm-hmm. You telling me that you don't know that your kid has been acting up in school, and you're taking these phone calls, you don't care?
Why do you think that some of those parents some of those parents were getting so mad because they felt like they had to do teaching jobs, the teachers' jobs. Their kids been.
I loved it.
You loved it because you don't mind being a parent. Mm-hmm. But some of those people are like, man, nope, they need to go back to school. I'm ready for my kids to get back to school.
David's teacher suggested he come back to school. I guess she was sad on my ass. But first of all, you get work that I don't understand. Mm-hmm. So how you think I'm going to help him if I need help? Mm. So I'm sitting there, I got to listen too. So if I'm asking you, hey, can you re-explain that? Because I didn't understand. Don't look at me some type of crazy.
Well, I was just saying, but that's why some of those parents were getting so mad because their kids were at home learning.
And they had to actually, hold on. They actually had to put up with their kids instead of passing them off to somebody else.
That part. Just saying.
But they also took away the control from the teachers and the power. I am going to say that because, like I said, it was a point in time where you can actually discipline the students. I don't think you have to spank a child to have discipline, but some discipline is really needed. Like, it needs to be some real consequences, and it ain't just get out my class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it needs to be, I don't know, alternative school is full, but it has to be some type of recourse for them. And prison is not an answer. Like, them not getting an education is not an answer, but is you have to teach them how to motivate themselves.
Right.
Because now you're in a problem where they don't care because
right.
nobody cares at home.
Mm-hmm.
So they're bringing it to the school where nobody cares. I don't care about learning. You're going to put me out because you don't care either because you're trying to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying you don't care, but you don't
right.
have time.
Right.
So now I'm just out here.
Right.
As that kid, I'm just out here. So in their mind, they probably thinking, don't nobody really care. So I'm acting out and they're needing attention. Like, what counseling steps are y'all doing for these kids too? Like, what steps are y'all taking to get them the help that they need? Or are y'all just pushing them off saying I can't help them at all?
Oh, like there's options. There are options in school that, you know, they can get help through counseling. They can go speak to a counselor. If they're struggling in class, they can collaborate with a counselor. And it's just a need to want to. Like, if as a counselor, if you're reaching out to the parents and the parents are not calling you back, or your kid is missing a lot of school, and that counselor is reaching out trying to see what they can do to help your kid, and your answer is, well, I can't get them to come to school. So, okay, so let us do this. Let's do one step better.
So they have a choice now?
Let us start finding you now. So then we talk about finding you. Now you want to withdraw your kid out of school. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, yes, we have steps that we can take as an educational program. However, at the end of the day, that parent still got the overall
say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched this documentary. It was a documentary. It's kind of like a group discussion, and it was teachers and parents, and some like will work from, you know, what they call homeschool parents.
Mm-hmm.
Some was talking about the you get to go to free range education,
mm-hmm.
which means they can go to any school that they choose to, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in a district, right. Because they know that, you know, urban schools don't have as good as schools as the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying free range school wasn't good and homeschool is better, but then one of the teachers was like, no, because then they're lacking social skills.
Exactly.
But they truly can have social skills.
Like some parents, so with homeschooling, some parents decide to put their kids in like extracurricular activities so they get on those select squads or get on those teams to where here's your social.
So like basketball, football, and stuff
mm-hmm.
like that. And then I have a friend who does co-op for her kid. Mm-hmm. So she is a homeschooler, but then they have like 2-3 days out the week, they have to bring them into a classroom.
Okay.
And not only do they teach them like, you know, still math, but they teach them fundamentals of how to grow fruits and vegetables.
Oh, okay.
And they teach them like Brazilian art dance, and
mm-hmm.
they teach them like how to read a map.
Okay. And those are skills that are needed.
Life skills.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I mean. Are they teaching our kids to be self-sufficient by teaching them life skills that they can use, or are they preparing them for prison and the work system?
See, but
that's what I mean by life skills.
Here's the thing. It depends on the demographics of your kid.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like some people care enough to go beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are just like, okay, I'm just trying to pass these kids. You know, I've seen it both ways. I've seen it to where teachers actually care. And, you know, I'm just like, okay, why did you get into education again? If you don't genuinely care, there shouldn't be a paycheck. It's not like we get paid a lot as teachers.
I think some people do. I think some of the teachers think they can get in there and make a change. And when they see that it's actually real work,
mm-hmm.
they don't want to do it no more.
But then that's when you need to consider career change.
Yes. But it's not, but somebody who's looking for a career change, it's not easy to up and leave and change your career.
But it is. I'm just saying, like, if you don't care, bye. Like, okay, as you stated earlier, the kids need that tender, loving care.
They do.
They need that, okay, I care. I care enough to make you, to discipline you. I care enough to make sure that, no, you're not leaving my classroom. You're standing here. We're getting done with the lesson. And that is what it is. That tough love. Now, and that's why I say I'm tough on my students. And my expectations for my students is here. And my kids know that. And I'm just like, I'm not lowering my standards. I'm not lowering my expectations. It's time for you to rise to the occasion. And the sad part about it, I got a lot of kids who like it. You know what I'm saying?
Some kids love this.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you're harder on your black kids and Hispanic kids than you are the Caucasian kids?
I feel like my expectations are more.
And why is that?
Because the bar has been set so low for them. Like in a public school setting, I feel like it is my duty to make sure that I'm not okay with that. So now I'm going to, my expectations for you are to be here. But again, that goes to that fair and equal type situation.
Yeah.
These kids don't need it as much because they automatically get
that. You get what I'm saying? They automatically get that fair.
Yeah.
What we consider fair.
Exactly.
And see, I think that's what that's what racism is, though. I mean, to me, like when they say, "Oh, racism is over," it's not.
It's not,
because we're truly not equal, and it's damn sure not fair.
Right.
But see, it's fair to them because their definition of fair is different than our fair.
Right. Right.
So I get what you're saying. You're a little harder on the black kids and the Hispanic kids because their bar is not like, "Oh, we're just gonna pass you by and that's okay and that's all right."
Right. And I don't want to say harder because like I don't treat them
not harder, but your expectations.
But my expectations are like, no, you're gonna race up to the occasion.
Do you see other teachers doing the same thing, or do you see other teachers being different with them too?
Again, it depends on the demographics.
Okay, but you're in a predominantly white school. Not no more. I'm saying as far as teachers. As far as teacher-student ratio, yes. So it's more white teachers than black teachers. Correct. So do you see the difference in how the white teachers treat those black and Hispanic kids versus how the black teachers treat them?
Of course.
But how do you stand up for it without standing up, like without
overstepping my boundaries? Yeah. I always lead by example. I try to anyways. Like, okay, here's a standard for.
You got a sarcastic demeanor anyway, so no, you probably said something fly.
I don't even have to say nothing fly. It's here's how I treat this kid, and so some of the teachers they'll come to me like, hey, I'm having a problem with this kid, whatever. Okay, let's go talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this is how you're gonna have to handle the student. Not so much as me saying, oh, I know more than you, because I definitely do not. Like in their field of teaching, I don't know more than them. However, how I handle this kid right here in particular, this is how you're going to, kind of like handle it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I lead by example. I show them how this is how I work with the student.
You treat them kids like individuals and not just a number.
That part. Because I love, I'm just like, oh my God. That's all I said to my husband. I was like, man, I get attached to them. Sometimes you're like, oh, my babies are leaving me, for the year. I know. But you think that it'll be easy just to let them go. But it's like once you build that bond and you build that relationship, it's different.
I mean, they're around you almost every day on day.
Exactly.
For almost a whole year. So
exactly.
They have their bond with their favorite teacher. I mean, David still talk about his kindergarten teacher.
See?
He is obsessed with her.
And that's a difference too.
And you want to take her some donut holes.
But you got to think about it. That's a difference too when in educating kids in the classroom. It's your relationship with the kids too. If you don't have no relationship, girl, they ain't listening to you.
I have to admit, his kindergarten teacher, and he's in third, not going on fourth, but his first and second grade teacher was the same teacher. So he had a good relationship with her, and both of those teachers stopped by our house before. So he really had a good relationship with them. Mm-hmm. But these two new teachers, and there's a whole different breed. Yeah, it's a difference. And I do feel like I know my child's problem, but I feel like sometimes you're stereotyping him because you know a little bit about him. Right. As far as, he talks too much. So everybody that talks, you're going to blame him. Mm-hmm. And it might not even be him.
Correct.
So now you really need to tune into my child's voice in my head. Like, I know you got a lot of kids, but I also know my child's a distinctive voice. And if the counselor, when I go to these meetings and they have those little programs, if his counselor can point him out when he's singing on the stage, then I know you can point his voice out too, to know that that's not him.
But then it's a situation of knowing that we're human. knowing that we make mistakes. And when you make a mistake,
apologize about it.
That part.
And I'm okay with that, because you know how many times as a parent I have to tell him, oh, I done messed up, or I'm sorry. Like, I was fussing him all this time before I really realized that he had a problem with dyslexia.
Right.
You know, and he had dysgraphy problems. Right. So I'm like, David, why you not doing that? And him having ADHD. I got ADD. So it was me always having to be like, why are you not doing this, or why are you not doing that? When we had that parent-teacher conference, I apologized to my child in front of people, because I'm humble like that. Right. Baby, I'm sorry that I got on you so tough, because I didn't realize how bad you were having it.
And as an educator, you got to do that too. Because I tell my kids all the time, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. And when I do, I'm going to admit to them, I'm going to apologize. So the way that I got onto you is the way that I apologize.
Yeah, the same way.
Yes, because you got to show them, and they respect you more when you do stuff like that. So,
and I also teach them too, if somebody keep apologizing about the same thing, that they did it on purpose. And I tell them, even me, I said, if I keep doing something over and over to you that hurts you, and the only thing I can do is apologize, then I'm doing it on purpose.
Right.
I said, even if I'm unconsciously doing that, means I'm not consciously taking the time to realize that I'm making that. I need to make that change. So I tell them, you don't have to accept everybody's apology either, though. Because you have to. Yeah, I tell them, you have to know what's intentional and what's not intentional. And if someone keeps doing the same thing over and over, and all you get is an apology, that's intentional.
Listen, girl, that's why. Because I be trying to tell my kids that, like, no, you're not sorry, because that's the same situation that you have been in. Girl. Yes.
And we on this thing where, because he had started to do this little line thing for a minute, so we didn't get that. He's starting to notice, if I tell the truth, I don't get in trouble as much.
Right.
Because before you lie, you get fussed at all day. I'm going to constantly say something all day. You tell the truth, okay.
But see, standards and expectations.
Yeah.
That's what you said. But see, some people, this gentle parenting.
But see, this is gentle parenting to me, because I didn't whoop him.
Yeah, well, no. You're right. However, but you still have those conversations. You still have discipline within your household.
Yeah.
But then you have some of these parents, gentle parent. I tell my kid, you better gently get your butt out of my face and go sit down somewhere.
Yeah, I gently didn't whoop him.
Right.
So I feel like that is gentle parenting.
Right.
But I'm learning them, because he's one of those kids that just because, and again, that's his ADHD too. Whooping is not going to change it. So me sitting down and understanding, why are you doing this? Right. You don't understand that we need to start thinking about why we're making actions. Because ever since he was little, I was some consequences behind everything. Right. I said good consequences lead to good actions. I said bad consequences lead to bad results. I said, but don't always think just because it's good that it's always going to end up good. So I try to be realistic with him too. And I think that's how he approached life. Right now, he's 9 years old. He's an old 9-year-old.
Listen, because he is wise beyond his years. He has been here. I say that all the time. Baby, he's been here before, honey.
And that's why if we teach our kids how to advocate for themselves, my child does not allow for the school system to play him. When we had a parent-teacher conference, he sits right there with me.
Right, exactly.
I don't have to answer anything. As soon as they're like, well, I'm going to add, this is probably how David feels about this. And they're like, no. David speaks for himself. He was like, no, this is how it makes me feel. And he told them when he came to his handwriting, it was him who advocated for it. He said, you give us a certain amount of time to do our work. He said, and because I struggle to write, he said, by the time y'all are finished, I am not even half done. He said, now I'm frustrated and this hurts right here. Oh, wow. He said, and now my feelings are hurt because I can't finish it. And now I'm mad and I want to push everything off my desk because I'm frustrated with myself.
Right.
And this is a child.
Right.
And I'm like, so you telling me he got a emotional disturbance problem? No, he's frustrated because he can't do the work.
Right.
And it's a simple task of handwriting. Everything else, you talk to him, he can give you the answer verbally. But if he's struggling with this, he advocated for himself. And I was proud of that. And I think we got to teach more of our black kids how to advocate for themselves healthily, without being mad, without being frustrated, without being angry. Like, I love that I didn't even realize I was teaching him how to do that. Because I was trying to teach him so much how not to be like me, that I was teaching him how to really stand up for himself. I was teaching him how to set boundaries.
Right.
So he even sets boundaries with adults. I don't like how you treat me, and I'm not going to let you treat me like that.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. Yeah, he don't say it to me. And he does it to his teachers, too.
Right.
So, like, I noticed when one of his teachers, he's like, Miss So-and-so made me upset. He was like, I asked her, can I sit at the quiet table by myself? Because I was not happy, and I was upset, and I need to think.
Oh, wow. So what was her response to that?
She said he could sit at the quiet table.
There you go.
And when he said when he was done, he let her know that she had hurt his feelings.
Well, I'm happy because that's why I try to tell some of my students, because you know I'm in counseling school right now, and so when I have those few kids that I counsel, and so that's exactly what I'm trying to teach them, how to self-advocate and do it respectfully. We can have those conversations with our teachers, be like, hey, can I talk to you? And instead of, oh gosh, she made me sick. So I'm trying to show them the difference, because sometimes those kids don't know how to communicate effectively and respectfully. So I go through that with them. So it's just like, okay, we are trying to teach them. Can we touch everybody? Probably not. However, touch as many kids as you can. And that's why I try to get through. I'm just like, I can't fix everybody. I want to, but I can't fix it.
But at least the few end up going to the many. Mm-hmm. That's why I say, if we teach our kids how to advocate for ourselves, in our culture, we are taught to be seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. We, from our generation, are now trying to be heard as adults.
Yes.
And we're fighting to be heard.
Right.
So for me as a mother, I want my son to be able to stand up for when I couldn't stand up for myself at that age. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not always around him.
Right.
And as much as people don't realize, life is not fair. Mm-mm. And if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody will.
Right.
Even though I'm your mother and I will stand up for you, but in that situation, you have to be able to stand up for yourself and mean what you say.
Because I'm not always going to be around.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. I'm not going to be at school with you. I mean, you're right. I might not always be around. I hope I will, but I don't know.
Right.
So I would want you to have already that backbone, just in case. I even tell him where I say, in case I am not really here, I need you to know that sometimes God remove people out your life, even the ones you truly love.
Listen.
So that way you can achieve greatness. And you are not to be hurt because he removed me. If he has to remove me, just know he did it for the best of you.
Right.
So
I don't know, but because I try to tell my kids, everybody's not in your life to stay in your life.
No.
Some people are in your life for a season. Now, mommy's in your life. But like, don't trip on. But I'm just saying, no, but for real, they just have to understand that it's okay to remove some people out of your life to grow, like you said.
It is, but some people are removed by the ways that you can't get them back.
Exactly, and that's fine.
And
well, you talking about important people?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
So that's what I'm trying to teach him, that because people get resentful, and to try to stop adult trauma from childhood trauma.
Right.
So you want to try to nip as much childhood trauma in the bud as you can to try to lessen the amount of adult trauma that they face. It's my goal for him. Right. Like, if I can explain to him. For me, when my mom and dad, I had nobody to talk to. I didn't understand why.
Right.
But maybe if it does happen to me, I'm already having the conversations with him that sometimes things don't happen the way we want them to happen.
Right.
And that if God does remove me from his life, and there is no more me, and it's a scary thought, but I also need him to know that you're not to be sad. You're actually to...
Oh, no, but you have to allow him to feel.
He knows that he got to feel, but he also needs to understand that sometimes God removes people out your life, even the ones that you truly love, because I might not even know that I might be a hindrance from who he's trying to have you to be. You might be the world's greatest leader in the world,
right? But I might be that blockage, don't let you to get there, don't want to allow you to get there. Because sometimes your trauma that you go through is your biggest helper.
Sometimes it is. And I will hope that wouldn't be the case, right. But just in case, I want to see everything, but I don't know.
Right.
So the only thing I can do is to teach you now how to cope with certain things, because nobody taught me how to cope. Right. So I try to teach him that his father's not active in his life.
Right.
So I try to teach him that sometimes in order for you to be awesome, certain people can't be a part of it.
Right.
I'm like, some people are used to create, but not to stay. Like, even though he's 9, I talk to him like.
Right.
Like he's an adult. Right. And I think that's what a lot of us too, as parents, we forget. Our children are people. So you doing that gee ha ha, all that. I've always talked to David the same way that I'm talking to you since he's came out of me.
And see, and that's the thing. That's why I say, like, some of these young parents don't understand that. Like, they think it's now we gonna get You know, I'm just like, okay, why are we teaching our kids to be this way? Let's not try to teach our kids to be this way. And it's okay with them because that's what they've been brought up around. Instead of seeing a different aspect of life of, okay, no, we need growth. And in order to have growth, we've got to take this norm of being, I don't know, what word am I looking for? Like, we gotta take this norm of
society's norm of that it girl, or that I want to be like Cardi B, or I want to be like, and I don't know what Cardi B parenting styles is, you know, just from the TikTok, I seem like it's good, but I want to be everybody else. I want to be what the celebrities have. I want to be like this,
or I want to be loud and I want to be out here and be heard. But that's not a good way to be heard, boo boo. Like, no.
Sometimes silence is the loudest noise you can ever have. My therapist had said to me, she was like, she was like, you could be quiet in a room and still be the loudest. I was like, I don't get it. She said, Christian, your silence is loud. Listen. She said, you could sit in the room. She said, in your head, you probably playing music or doing something else. She said, but because you stand out, your silence is loud.
You demand that attention.
But not purposely. Sometimes you don't have to make noise to stand out.
That part.
You are just to be your authentic self. And I think because of society and the way they're teaching our kids to not be the authentic self, I want to be the next Nene Leakes. I want to be the next Instagram influencer. I want to be the next Facebook influencer. I want to be the next TikTok influencer. They're living a life with a mask on.
Right.
And they're not being an authentic self.
And see, I can't do that. Like, I can't fake it. Like, you know me. Like, I'm just like, girl, like, I'm just so open and just out there, and like, I'm just going to speak what's on my mind. I've learned to scale back, and sometimes everything doesn't need to be said.
No.
However, I am bluntly honest.
Dick Gregory said it best: when you start taking those rose-colored glasses off to see the world for what it is, you can never put it back on. Right. I teach David the way I teach him because I took them glasses off. And I see the world for what it is, and I want to be prepared for the world. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I pray every day that I'm going to be here. He's waking me up every day, and my intuition tells me I'm going to be here for a long time for my child. But when he becomes an adult,
right,
I'm not going to be there when he becomes an adult. He is going to be living his life.
We're not going to say that.
No, I don't mean like that. Okay. I mean, like, I'm not going to be around him all the time like that. Correct. He's going to be living his life.
Right.
So I want to know that whatever I instilled into him, that it is, I want to see it happen.
Right.
I want to see that when he has his family, that he knows his family come before me.
Right.
I want to be able to.
But you know, it's not like that with some people. You know what I'm saying? Like some mothers, like, I don't want to be like that with my kids. Some mothers feel like they should be put first. No, ma'am. No. Like, he has a whole family. Your child has a whole family. You know, I got boys and one girl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to understand that my boys are going, if they have a wife, then that's what comes first. Yeah. I come first with my husband. Therefore, why would I not expect that with my boys?
Exactly. When my son get married, if he have a girlfriend, if you start having kids, I'm going to be deadbeat grandma.
You going to be what?
I'm going to be a deadbeat grandma.
No, man.
No, yes, I am. That's why I'm going to be around all the time. Because, baby, you can ask me to watch the kids. You better make sure it's spring break. You gotta make sure it's the summertime because we're not going to school.
Right.
But what I mean is, I want to be able for you to understand that once you become an adult, I'm going to be here to help you because I feel like as an adult, we need help from our parents the most when we become an adult.
So don't say you're going to be deadbeat. Just say you're not going to be readily available.
Baby, let me tell you something. He gonna be like, Ma, can you watch the kid? No, I'm out of town. Ma, I saw your car in the driveway. I said I'm out of town. But no,
just not readily available.
Okay, I'm just playing about the deadbeat. I'm gonna be not readily available. But I want him to understand because even when he said, "Now, Ma, when I get married, I'm gonna take care of you," I'm like, "No, you're not." Right. I'm like, because for me, I'm gonna have either my own money with my own man, and we're gonna be living our best life because we ain't gonna have no kids. You take care of your family,
right?
And I want him to understand that it's gonna be your family, then me. And if he understands that as an adult, that's gonna make me so happy too. And if he's successful, and if he's a good father,
right?
I'm so scared of that curse being passed down because I think about it.
Being raised by a good woman,
I don't care how I'm raising him. It's the outcome of the situation. Just because, let me tell you something. Just because I'm raising him the best that I can at what my expectations is, his father is showing him something completely different.
Yeah, he is.
So it can be where he may be okay right now, but when he start having kids, it might scare him, and he might fall into that same cycle of his daddy.
But we're not gonna say that.
But I have to be realistic too, because it can go both ways. He can either be a great father, or he cannot be a great father. My sister was a great mother. Her son is just not becoming a better father.
But he's becoming one.
We don't even know it's fully yet. To be honest with you, but it can go either way. Right. It can either go he's going to be an amazing father, or he's going to be a deadbeat father like that too. So it's these men need to step up, and it's affecting our boys.
Yeah, I agree.
It truly, because there ain't no way that you call your son every blue moon and want to play video games.
Right. Right, but that's a whole different topic for a whole other session.
Sure. But we're going to go ahead and call this Cut It Short. Thank you for listening.
Bye, guys.